Welcome every Wednesday to a live recording of Prepper Talk Radio, radio for the ready-minded, the podcast for the prepared. We are super excited to bring to you the 17 things that are essential to store and stack besides food. And there may or may not be some additional things. We may give a bonus or two in there. So just stay tuned till the end to make sure you get all 17. Get out your pad of paper and your pen and make sure you get all 17 or all however many we offer. And we'll get them we'll get them all to you. Also, please go to our website at preppertalkradio.com and check around there. We got a lot of resources. One of those resources that we're looking at right now, especially during the holiday season, is this something called black seed oil. I don't know if you've ever heard of black seed oil, but according to the internet, the interwebs, black seed oil is the cure for everything but death. So I highly recommend that you pick up some black seed oil. It's like got some fantastic, it works for, it boosts immunity, it healthy skin, aids in digestion. And with all the turkey and the Christmas pie we're gonna eat all the aiding and digestion that we can get. Speaking of that, here's another one that I highly recommend you pick up: liver support. If you're drinking some of that, you know what I'm saying, eggnog this holiday season, you're gonna want to have some liver support. And so make sure my jokes don't get any better. Sorry, that's as good as it's gonna get. But make sure you check those out on our website, preppertalkradio.com/goodlife. That's where you go to pick those up. There's all kinds of other great, fantastic supplements there, but black seed oil and liver support is our highlight for this evening's show. We are going to talk about some exciting things, guys. Scott, Shane, and Paris, we're all here tonight, and we're all here excited to share our ideas. How you guys feeling? Scott, Shane, how you doing?
Excellent. I'm hanging in there. Honestly, everybody knows I got a bad back, and
oh, dude, are you
multi-layer spondylosis? Disintegrating everything. So yeah, it's yesterday it tweaked, and I'm just like, I could hardly get into the house. Thankfully, I'm a prepper, and I've stockpiled muscle relaxers and white willow, and yeah, we're feeling pretty decent enough to do a podcast. So we're here. Let's go.
Nothing that a couple of drugs can't fix. Is that what you're saying?
Well, herbal remedies and drugs. We're going to combine
awesome.
Medication. We're prescribed. Let's clarify so the YouTube algorithm doesn't get mad at me. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Right.
But yeah, I'm telling you, man, stockpiling stuff, right? The stuff we need comes in so handy. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I'm like, oh, I need this. I've got a lot of those, and go to the storage room or go to the garage, or like, that's in bin 47. Let's go pull bin 47 out. Okay, we're going to use one of these. We're going to add it to the list, put it on the shopping list, and the next time we go get another one. And so we're just constantly rotating. I feel like that, it's just the normalcy of life. I don't know I know you guys act this way, but like, you use something, you put it on the list, go resupply. Like, it's the only thing that I ever like run out of are things like super glue or the clear little tape for wrapping presents, because my kids use that all day long everywhere. You're like, how did we run out? We just bought 12 rolls. Where they all go? I use them as traps around the house. What?
You need to put that on the list so we can replace them.
Yeah.
But it was funny. My wife and I were we had a hankering for some cereal for dinner the other night, and so we went down. We're like, "Where's that one cereal we used to get that was so good?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's go get that." We went down and got the box. We're like, "Oh well, it expired 2 weeks ago. It's still good." So sometimes you got to make sure that you are actually rotating those things from so that you can have fresh. Honestly, I just saw, I don't know where it was, but I just saw like a headline of, are expiration dates real? And in some cases they are, but I think in other cases, in majority of cases, they're just kind of that psyop to get us to think that we need to go out and buy more of the stuff when we really don't need to. So
do you remember we had the Jace Medical CEO on, and we talked about that very thing with like antibiotics? He's like, the government has like a 26-year supply of antibiotics that they don't rotate. it's just like, wait, what just happened? All the expiration dates and everything. Like,
Yeah, it's so
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
obvious.
Well,
Expiration
he did
dates.
mention a study that was done during the COVID time because I guess they were running out of meds. I said, well, really, what is the shelf life of these? So, if I remember correctly, which I probably don't, it's somewhere around at about 7 years. They still have 90% potency, something like that.
Wow.
So yeah, best by dates.
So this is one of my ones. I just talked to. I've got allergies like crazy. This is my version of an EpiPen, AviQ. And this one's about to expire. But what's funny is I talked to my allergy doctor, and he's like, "Dude, those expiration dates are so wrong." And I'm like, "Really? What are they?" He goes, "They're good for at least 7 years. I've got some on hand that are like 10 years old. We had a kid get a bee sting at my pool this summer, and guess who broke that sucker out and saved the kid? This
That's
guy."
awesome.
I'm like, "Are you a prepper?" He's former Air Force. He goes, "I wouldn't call myself a prepper, but I'm prepared." I'm like,
That's
"Yes,
awesome.
you are, sir."
That word's not
Oh,
terribly
that's
important anymore. But one
Yeah.
thing I wanted to kick out there is that before we really dive in deep is that I've been over the past several years, I've been pretty intense and trying to keep a lot of stuff in stock, as in keep my shelves full. And with certain things, let's use toilet paper as an example. There's, when there was a run on toilet paper during the COVID time, right? Toilet paper is made locally, right? It's going to be pretty easy to get, and there's ways around that. Yes, it's awfully nice and convenient, but there are certain things we can do without, and there are certain things that I had been stocking up on and rotating, which I could honestly do without in an emergency. So I've really kind of pared back on those things, and then also started stocking up on some of these things we're going to talk about that are long term, right? They don't have to rotate as much, that may lose some. And we're not going to talk about food, right? Because this is beyond that. But some things may lose some efficiency, like meds or whatever. But still are important to have a large quantity of, because I think we at one point we'll get to where certain things you just can't get anymore. They just won't be available, and then what are you going to do? And how long can you survive without them? So that's kind of where my thoughts are focused.
Good point. So shall we just dive right in?
Yeah. Well, first comment here. I'll put this up here real quick. Is that Joseph started making handmade soaps, and that's been on my list for a long time. Honestly, I've been actually buying some recently, some handmade soaps, and I absolutely love them. I was a little bit hesitant, of course, because my brainwashing, my whole growing up, all I use is a bar soap. That's it. I don't use any store-bought detergents or anything, obviously for laundry and such and dishwasher, but on my body, I'm only using handmade soaps. And so I need to do that also, which means I should probably stock up, and Joseph, stock up on some of the ingredients needed for handmade soaps, which include lye, which is caustic soda or sodium hydroxide, right?
We need to be telling the truth, though, Shane.
Okay, go for it.
We can't be lying.
Oh,
my God.
Geez, you are a dad joke.
You're dad mode tonight.
Sorry.
So yes, lye is as in sodium hydroxide, and I've also got lime on my list as well. Calcium hydroxide, which is used for pickling and such. But back to soaps, obviously you can improvise the caustic soda with ash from a fire, right? I think you can refine that, and I don't have it on the tip of my tongue, but if there's something you do that's going to support your family in trade, or just making soaps for your own family, or candle making, have those supplies in abundance on hand, because maybe they're easy to get where you live, or maybe they're not. But I think it'd be good to identify that and figure out exactly what you should keep in stock, and how much and how long it's going to last, and really stretch that and push that.
It's funny because, like, I remember as a kid, I grew up originally in Idaho, then moved to Colorado. But like as a kid, we'd go camping up in the mountains near what's called Palisades, kind of on the border of Idaho and Wyoming, and they'd always cut down a tree. We'd always use the firewood, and my grandma's brothers, my great uncle, he would be like, "Save the ash, save the ash, don't bury the ash, save the ash." And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's
And
like,
unfortunately,
that's good stuff for soap, man. This is
yeah,
good
and
soap stuff.
unfortunately, here in Utah, we don't have much in the way of hardwoods, right?
Yeah.
We mostly have pine, but so maybe you do need to stock up on that caustic soda, on that lye.
For sure. Yeah, because he made his own soaps, and but that's his generation. Here's what they grew up with. Like, they grew up with an outhouse. They grew up making their own soaps. They grew up in, like, there's 7 kids in the family, and they had a 3-bedroom little house farm. And the stories are fantastical. Like, as they're processing chickens, they just pop the head off, drop it in the dirt, and they'd go run around for a little bit. And there's stories of the dead headless chickens chasing my dad and his brothers. And it was fantastical and hilarious and fun, but it's like we're like 30 seconds away from that lifestyle, and most of us aren't ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the minutes to midnight.
Yes. 30
the
doomsday clock.
Doomsday clock. There we go.
I did a video of that just the other day on social. So nice nod to that. But yeah,
you're absolutely right.
Having ash, like, you can use that for so many different things. But lye, specifically, like, there are just so many good uses.
Yeah, you can add it to your garden.
Mm-hmm.
Again, depending on if it's pine or whatever type of ash, and what you're growing. You need to know you don't want to put it on tomatoes, but it can help change the pH of your soil for depending on what you're growing. So that's one thing. When I clean out my wood stove, I stash that in the pile in a bucket, and we plan on using it. So I'm becoming one of the guys. I keep all the number 10 cans that I use, and I stock that in the corner, and those kind of containers and boxes.
That's actually on my list of things to stockpile.
Okay.
Used containers, right? I have a stockpile of clean food grade buckets, all used.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have a custard shop down the street, and they get all their food ingredients in these huge food grade buckets, the raspberry sauces and syrups and everything, like all this stuff. And so we asked them for their buckets one time, and the guy's like, "What are you going to use these for?" I'm like, "Food grade storage." He's like, "Oh, that's brilliant. We just toss these away all the time."
Yeah.
I had like 80 buckets. We panned them out across the whole neighborhood. Who needs buckets?
How big are they?
Fantastic.
5 gallon.
Yeah. Little 5-gallon buckets. They're phenomenal. These are actually, they're the 5-gallon. They're the taller ones. But yeah, they're food grade. They're durable. They're fantastic. They'll reseal. But extra cans, containers, any type of container you can get, specifically buckets, empty tin cans. Number 10s are fantastic, but also mason jars with lids, extra rings, extra lids to seal. Like, you got to have, and yeah, you bet your ash, you got to have these things. Thank you, Field Tac, for that.
Oh, that's awesome stuff.
That's
dude.
a good dad joke. Oh man.
Yeah, but buckets, like you say, buckets. Absolutely. I go through quite a few buckets just in yard chores and so forth. I mean, my line of business, we go through a lot of buckets, and we found certain sources like that we can reuse for our process. Food manufacturing companies that their product comes in buckets or even larger pails or drums, and they can be either had really cheap or sometimes free. So a nice stash of those will come in handy at some point on the farm.
I think another idea for those is that at some point, if your water storage goes out, then how are you going to carry water from whatever stream or river or lake that you're at? And if in Africa, I was watching a video recently about this guy in Africa who he's in the Congo, and he goes to another village that has an abundance of bananas, and it's 18 miles away. He rides a bike 18 miles, buys a bunch of bananas, rides all the way back home to his town, and sells the bananas for a profit. And that's what he does. And so I'm like, what a resourceful guy. But then you also see all these stories of these ladies usually it's ladies. Sorry, guys. I'm sure there's some guys that do it too, but usually it's ladies who are in charge of getting the water every day, and some of them have to walk 4 or 5 miles. And they get the stick, and then they have a bucket on one side and a bucket on the other side. They fill them up, and then they walk with that stick over their shoulders all the way home. And that's something that we'll probably, if we don't have wheelbarrows, which is another one of the items I'm going to bring up later, is tools that we should have stockpile, and we should be stockpiling. But those buckets would be great for hauling water as an option too. So that's good idea.
You know the technical term for that stick that you carry the water with?
What is it?
Shoulder yoke.
A shoulder yoke.
Yeah.
Nice.
I got a good shoulder yoke in the garage with little notches on the edges so the buckets don't slide off.
Nice.
So I am prepared to be my own oxen.
Yeah, and on that same line as well, on my list, I also have canning supplies, including like Mylar bags. I am not proficient or the best at canning or food preservation at the moment, but because of the food storage I have, I will have some time to work on that process, right, when it comes down to it. And I am slowly, learning more about that as well. So it won't be baptism by fire, but I think just to have those things on hand, so you're not scrambling in the end, or it's most likely. And to be honest, these are things that are most likely going to be forgotten when it hits the fan, right? You're going to think, oh, I'm out of milk or cheese or whatever. I got to get to the store and top things off. Are you going to think about, do I have the tools I need? Do I have the canning supplies? Or is it going to get to the point where like, hey, I had a good crop of cucumbers. What am I going to do with it now, right? I'm going to pickle them and can them, but I don't have what I need. So that's high on my list.
So one of the things I like to do right now is I go to estate sales, because at estate sales, you can find all the canning supplies usually. And because those jars go forever. The older the jar, the actually better I found that they last longer. But canning supplies and old tools. I got a draw knife. I got a couple of good hand saws going to those types of sales. Here in Utah, you got to kind of wait until obviously till someone passes away, but they usually do those in spring and fall and all summer, like yard sales and stuff too. But it's funny because those old tools, they last longer. I saw a meme on social media. This lady's like, my blender broke, so I had to borrow my mom's blender, and it just so happened to be that it was my mom's blender, and that thing's still working. And now I firmly believe that they landed on the moon, because we don't make stuff like they used to. I'm like,
I saw that too the other day. It came across my feed. We must be on the same algorithm.
We are prepping. It's there. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, next topic.
I guess also along those same lines, I've got vinegar on my list.
Okay.
It lasts for quite a while. I think the last vinegar I bought is good for 2.5, 3 years maybe. On the Best Buy dates right on it. So pretty easy to store, pretty easy to rotate. We use a lot, use it in our laundry as well as, in cooking and so forth. So we go through that fairly quickly. So I got vinegar, and I got some others as well, but
I kind of threw that in with cleaning supplies, and I just said like bleach and wipes and laundry soap too, like other stuff like that. Because vinegar is a natural disinfectant, and that's a huge thing.
Well, and you can make vinegar pretty easily. You just need a distillation system, right? Because you're going to distill it.
Yeah, but I'll be prepared for, obviously, to do that and have the stuff you need. Yeah.
But you can. I mean, shoot. Here's the thing. Most of us, our goal is to outlast everybody else, right? And when everybody else is gone, you're going to go out rummaging for stuff. You're not going to be like looking for people's food, because you're going to know it's all gone. But you're going to be like, oh, I need some copper piping. Oh, I need a bin, a metal container that I can cook with, right? You can build your own distillation systems still. Like, think about all Dukes of Hazzard. The whole show is about distillation of liquids that were not allowed at the time. Like, get creative.
That's awesome.
That's true.
Sound good.
I mean, they did have a pretty awesome car too that liked to jump quite a bit.
Yeah, their doors didn't work, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
My back as it is, I need doors. But yeah, there's definitely a learning curve, both to canning and distillation. Anything you make, there's a learning curve. You got to figure it out. The more you practice now, the better. But I noticed you said vinegar. Did you say borax?
Borax,
I love having borax on hand.
and of course baking soda as well.
Yes, and lots of salt, because you can use that for food preservation and for making your food not taste so gross in the apocalypse, right?
Mm-hmm. And get healthy salt. Don't get this iodized crap. Get the Himalayan.
I mean,
Speaking of expiration dates, I saw this Himalayan salt, million-year-old Himalayan salt expires in 2 years.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
it's a million-year-old Himalayan salt. It's not expiring in 2 years.
yeah, obviously
Himalayan salts have a lot of heavy metals in them, so stay away from that. Get Redmond's or Baja Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, with salt, obviously it's better to have some than none. So obviously the 25-pound bags you get at the grocery store, the table salt, which is either iodized or not, what it's 10 $12 for something for 25-pound bag, something like that. It's fairly cheap. Where'd you go with the Redmond? I bought I think 50-pound bag, or maybe it's a 25-pound bag for like $100. So it's a lot more expensive, but definitely a lot better for your health. And that's something we see in our feeds a lot as lately as well, is that we're seeing more and more health tips, which include salt is not bad for your blood pressure. Maybe table salt is, right? But again, we're taught lies all the time. So salt is essential. We're an electrical system. We have to have the electrolytes, the salt in our system. And so to cut out salt of our diet is not good. But have good, like Paris said, have good salt, like the Redmond salt, which actually has like 70 minerals in addition to salt. What is the sodium?
Table salt has just salt in it, sodium. But
Redmond's is local to us here, so it's a lot easier for us.
But yeah, any like Redmond's or Baja Gold or even Celtic, which isn't as good as it used to be, all of them have at least 60 minerals plus, right? Redmond's and Baja Gold have 2 of the higher counts, but if you don't have one of those, if you live near sea life, you can go get some seaweed and turn that's got a ton of, or sea moss, that's got a ton of minerals too. So the more the better. You need the electrolytes, you need those things to help everything else process and work better, optimize.
Yeah, like Sandra said here, Pedialyte, an electrolyte. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Anything like that has a long shelf life, and you think salt water is going to have a pretty long shelf life, I would think. Who knows what else is in that particular brand, but I've seen people store. Kind of we're getting a bit on the food, which we were going to stay away from. People store energy drinks, or rather, protein drinks, right? That you can get in bulk from Costco or whatever. They do have a shelf life, but that's a pretty dense, emergency meal. But
if you need electrolytes, baking soda and salt, mix that in water, you're good to go. All right, let's bounce. Bounce.
Makes alkaline water. Yeah, absolutely.
Should we go back to tools and talk tools?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, I'm a big you can go get them anywhere, but hand tools. The more hand tools, the better, because you don't need power besides yourself, right? Yeah, have some power tools. They're great as long as you've got a power generator and either a fuel source or solar panels or whatever, right? Hand tools are so amazing. Hand tools, saws, screwdrivers, nails. I have so many nails stocked up in the garage.
Screws,
like hammers, different types of hammers, demolition hammers. Like, have a really good set of tools, and not just that, but like mechanic tools, things to work on your car, gardening tools, all the stuff you need to take care of your property, right? Those types of tools are going to be so necessary when everything goes awry. You're going to stop mowing your lawn and you're going to replace it with a garden, right? You're going to expand all that space into edible landscape if you aren't already.
I think in the genre of tools, it's not specifically a tool, although MacGyver might be able to argue it. But I think it would be good to like stockpile duct tape. Like,
Yeah.
how many
Mhm.
things can duct tape solve and do and help with? I mean, you shoot, you run into a situation, you got, I mean, if you're going to go full MacGyver, you store duct tape and paper clips, and you'll be able to fix anything.
Well, back on the tools, part of my tools list is cutting tools, right?
Yep.
Axe, saws, just knives. I mean, just think of all the types of knives that can come in handy, from simple, filleting knives to
Mm-hmm.
chopping knives, survival knives. Of course,
Good butcher
I'm a bit
knife.
of, yeah, absolutely. A lot of uses for butcher knives, for different types of knives, and as survivalists, one knife can do it all, but it doesn't do everything very well. So it's good to have a good selection of quality knives, or a whole bunch of cheap ones, right? That you'll work through, from processing your food in your garden, but also your firewood. You've got to have be able to split your wood and cut your wood efficiently, because I've got chainsaws and gas, but that won't last very long.
Yeah.
That a season or two maybe.
Let me
But
piggyback on what you're saying, Shane, real
yeah,
fast too, because if you're going to have a bunch of knives, you're going to have a way to sharpen them.
Yep.
And so make sure you get a bunch of whetstones specifically, and those run down. I mean, one good, so strong whetstone can last a long time, but eventually it might wear down. So I would say stockpile a couple whetstones. I think I have 5 or 6 whetstones. I don't know if that's enough, but I know it'll last me a while. And then after that, I don't, maybe there's another way to sharpen knives that some cowboy will teach me somehow, somewhere that that I don't know about. But I think have a whetstone for sure is going to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also along those same lines is having components, having parts
Mm-hmm.
to service. If you have a tractor and that you've got to change the gear oil, you've got to you need new plugs, or whatever the components that wear out the most on whatever you use. Have those and just rotate through those, just like you would your food supplies.
I used to think it was so weird. All these old men, as a kid, all these old men with their jars of screws, of like all kinds of weird size shaped screws and nuts and everything, right? Who has those now?
Oh, yeah, I
We do.
inherited a bunch myself. Yeah,
And I love it. It's like, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I need this. There's been so many times you're like, crap, I lost the screw for this piece. Let me go check the jars. And you find it.
Have you seen that? There's another meme too that I saw, a little video reel of a dad and his son, and they're working to like stabilize something and make it level, and they just need another couple inches. And the dad looks at the son with
I love
bright
that one.
eyes, and he
that
runs
one.
into the garage and runs into the shed and like runs past like digs up all these other things, and he finds that one piece of 2x4 that he'd saved for the last 10 years. And he's like, I knew I would need this 2x4 piece of 2x4, because it was the exact size to be able to level off that piece of furniture or something.
Yeah.
And I just laugh at that, because that's so true. Like, us guys were such, for the lack of saying it, we're somewhat preppers can be somewhat of hoarders. So you got to be careful with it. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? We should stockpile some of these things, because we never know.
You got to know what's valuable, what's not valuable. And that does take some experience. You can't keep everything, because it's just clutter. It's too much.
Yeah.
But that takes some experience. It takes, 10, 15, 20 years to where you get to a point where, like, okay, I don't need to keep so much of this. I'll keep a little bit of it and get rid of the rest.
Well, it's funny because there's like first aid. You need as much first aid as possible, right?
Yeah.
More importantly, you need to know how to replace it, make more of it. We're going to move from all these cool adhesive bandages to knowing how to actually treat, seal, wrap, and do everything else you need to do for wounds, right? I was talking to somebody, my wife, the other day about my father-in-law. They think he broke his leg, and they're like, but they can't send him through the MRI because he has metal replacement knees. And they're like, oh, that'll kill him, right? So like, what can we do? Well, we'll have to just do more x-rays and see if we can get the right angle. And I'm like, just use a tuning fork. And they're like, what? I'm like, use a tuning fork. My doctor used to like diagnose our broken bones with tuning forks. There's like,
it has another name.
Vibration, huh?
Vibration. Yeah. But yeah. And you find out where it is really fast. But I was talking to another medical doctor, and he's like, it's the fastest way to detect a bone, like to find out where it's broken and to know if it's broken or not, is one of these bone testing
Yeah.
Somebody probably knows what it's
Tuning
called.
forks. Yeah, I'm looking for it right now, but
And I'm
I
like,
see tuning forks. Yeah, but
I
they
grew
make
up
them
in Idaho.
specifically for that purpose. I do have some. Yeah.
I
And the
actually
old
got a
stuff's
tuning
the best.
fork. It's like a 432 or 5. What is it? I think it's a 432 tuning fork. And what you do is if you have like a joint pain or something like that, you bang the thing and you put that on your knee, and it like vibrates that healing vibration into your knee
Mhm.
and or into your joint, into
Frequencies.
your elbow or whatever, and it helps you become healthy. Some of these old, today in our society today, we might think, well, that's quackery, but the reality is there's some reality to vibrations and healing frequencies. And if we can stockpile even some of that stuff, because medicine might run out, herbs you'll grow them, but what if you have the crop doesn't happen and you need it? So there's other things too that I think are important to stockpile that are health related, like maybe a tuning fork or a healing fork or some kind of stuff like that. That's what I was thinking just now.
Yeah, absolutely. On my list, I have, of course, medical supplies, but I also have essential oils. We use that a lot around our house. I have a daughter that works at doTERRA, so we get a lot of it for free, and we have for a long time. And so we've made it part of our life. So we have a lot of essential oils, which you can add to your soap making process and so forth, even your candles. If you're making candles, so things that have multiple purposes that last a long, long time is where my list is.
Yeah.
Focused.
And garlic oils and oregano oils, they're all very healing, very, flu. Whenever I have a cold or flu, it's like throw some of these, put a little drop of this, little drop of that, little drop of this, and mix it together and pop it. And you're like, whoa, I feel better already. You know what I mean? So garlic and turmeric, those are huge things for cold and flu season.
Oh,
Yeah. Again, herbs. I know, Scott, you're talking about seeds and herbs and having, we think mostly of garden seeds like, like tomatoes and beans and peas and those types of things, but having seeds for your herbs as well, for flowers, pollinators that bring the bees around. Have, you got to have some flavor in your meals.
And to go with those things, because herbs can do so many good things, but plastic tarps.
Tarps, absolutely.
I have
Ooh,
a
yeah.
huge roll of clear plastic tarping. Why? I can seal windows with it. That plus duct tape, plus nails, plus boards, like all these other stuff, having the right tools. But I can also make a greenhouse, and I can grow my herbs in a tiny little greenhouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps the deer off of it.
That's true. It's amazing how expensive that 6 mil plastic can be, especially get a big roll. It's pretty expensive, but yeah, a lot of uses. But actually, instead of, if you're going to use it for a greenhouse, you can actually get greenhouse plastic. That regular plastic won't last but a year up in the sun. So if you're going to use it for that purpose, go get some greenhouse plastic and you got at least 4 years out of that. But yeah, in a pinch, absolutely. If you're going to, you'll get by. Absolutely. You can sprout your seeds into it and then take it down for the summer and reuse it. But just a quick tip is I've stocked up on some of that greenhouse fabric.
Nice.
But I guess also along those same lines, cutting tools and we talking about food. So fire making supplies, firewood, coal, propane, fuels. Obviously, gasoline doesn't have a very long shelf life. You can't store that for very long. Plus, it's dangerous. There's legal issues with it, storing it in a residential area. But firewood, stack it to the rafters. Coal, and then all your lighters and multiple ways of starting fires. Those lighters will, I think, eventually break down, but I'm pretty sure they have a really long shelf life that will still work. But you get some flint and steel.
Yep.
Make your own char cloth. That will last forever, essentially.
Well, if you have the skills, like it goes back to earlier in the conversation, the more you learn things, the more skills you have, the less stuff you need to store, right? If you know how to make your own char cloth, you're very advantageous to know how to do that, right? The more you know, if you know how to sharpen your own knives, if you know how to maintain your tools, if you know how to create fuels, right? You know how to freeze dry, well, not freeze dry. If you know how to can your foods and store those, preserve those, all those skills are going to save your hide in the long run. And what's interesting is if you start putting those into practice, you save money. Like we just had Peelies and Pedals on a few months ago, and she talks every time about how much money she saved. She just did the math for last year. She saved $18,000 in food costs because she's canning, she's preserving. She buys things when they're fresh, when they're cheapest, when they're in their abundance, and cans it like crazy. And she's like, I only spend a little bit of time each day or week to can and to preserve, because once you start it, it does the process itself. And then you just come back when it's done, put it where it goes. It's quick and easy. You can add it and integrate it into whatever you're doing. But the skill of having those things is so valuable.
Yeah, another thing, part of the survival is being able to provide for yourself. And we're not talking about food. However, the methods to get food. So obviously we talked about gardening tools, but also fishing supplies. Yeah. When I go fishing, I know we lose lures all the time to flies. And so I have fly tying kits, and I kind of know how to tie flies. And my son is working on learning how to make lures. So having a way to replenish those types of things, having enough line, because I go through line pretty quick too, not being a great fisherman, but having enough of that extra line to where you're not going to run out, those types of things, extra poles, those types of supplies where you can fix, like Scott, you're talking about archery. You got to be able to repair your arrows. So you got to have the feathers and the nocks and the glue and all those types of things and broadheads, to where typically maybe, okay, you're out shooting and then something breaks, you go to the store and buy it. And then, but having extra is, is essential.
At least one string for your bow,
exactly.
two or three, just to have the one you're using and then have a backup, because that'll give you some love.
Yeah. Like I've got,
you don't want to have your bow break.
I've got two of the same recurve bow, and then I have, with one of them, it's just a single string, but the other one I have 3 extra strings in that pack. But it's like I use them very rarely, but I'm like, I got to get practicing again. But knowing how to make your own glue, knowing how to make your own arrows from scratch, like rose plants, rose bushes, those are fantastic. They're pretty easy to straighten. They're great. They fly straight. You just got to learn how to make your own feathers and adhere those, and learn how to put your own heads on it, right? And those are things those are skills. Learn the skills and build it out.
Yeah, like Joseph mentioned here, is Vaseline and dryer lint as fire tinder. I have stocked up on a couple of containers of dryer lint. I'm definitely a weird guy. I collect it and stuff it in a container and stick it and I even collected a bunch of bread bags. When the bag is empty, I'll put it in another bag and keep a bunch of bread bags. I mean, stick it in the shed, right? And then forget about it. Or stockpile your newspapers. I mean, I don't know if anybody gets newspapers anymore, but I did that for a long time, and I'm still working off that pile of newspapers.
I love that you just made the entire generation that lived through the Depression so proud.
Good.
In that statement right there, like, use it up, wear it out, make it do or do it out. Like, I remember saving every bag as a kid, every container as a kid. That's what my grandparents taught my parents. And it's like, I'll try to get my wife to do that stuff. And she's like, why are we saving yogurt containers? I'm like, in case I need it. No, just go buy other. I'm like, why? This is free. This is free. And it stores in the garage. Like, it's out of your way. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's great to have. All those
I like what Field Tech put here, saying, buy sticks of Burt's Bees lip balm, whether it's that brand or another one. I think it's a really good idea to have some moisturizers, lip chapsticks. I mean, I don't know how many zombie movies you see where they look like their lips are about to fall off. And that's just not, I mean, that's a lot to do with dehydration. So if you just drank more water, you'd avoid that. But in the meantime, you still got to balance I would say balance that with some great lip balm and some great things like Burt's Bees is also very good. And those are also some things you're like, well, how many do I need? Well, here's what's cool is, let's say you come across somebody who doesn't have it. You can now barter with those things. Mm-hmm. And so some of the things I was thinking about that you should stockpile are things that are barterable. Like me, you may not drink alcohol, but you might come across somebody who has something you need. And if you have stockpiled a little bit of alcohol, now you can trade for that. You might, there's other things like the vices, like even some cigarettes, potentially, even some like condoms or just stuff like that would be something that you could stockpile and barter. And frankly, if you're married and you have, you're going to probably want to have some those intimate essentials anyways for as part of your, because you don't want to, just because the crap hits the fan doesn't mean you don't need to snuggle with your sweetheart every once in a while. And so having some of those things as well in your stockpile, I think is important, whether that's you use it or whether you barter with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to go a long way with having it's in Utah. It might be wild to see some, LDS boy come in with his vodkas and cigarettes. Or what are you doing, Paris? I promise it's for my my stockpile for bartering. Right. You need to talk to the church about what you're anyway. So that's kind of funny. But
yeah, my list, has also things that to not collect, right? And honestly, those things are not on my list because I don't personally use them, and I don't personally believe in collecting items that I'm not going to use. Right. If you know what I mean? So if I'm going to put it into alcohol or cigarettes or something like that, I'm sure I'll be able to barter with this. Well, yes, probably so. But I would rather put that money
into something else that you could use and barter. Okay. That makes
exactly
more sense.
So that's my reasoning. But
yeah. And if it's not something you're going to use, know your audience, right? Who do you live around? I don't have anyone that smokes on my street or anywhere near me, right? So I'm like, why would I ever store that?
You're not going to barter very well with that.
I'm not going to prison anytime soon, so I don't need it for prison money, right? So it's like, I like Shane's point there. If I don't need it,
yeah,
and I can't use it, I shouldn't store it.
Yeah,
I mean, if you have all the space in the world and extra funds, go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I've got a brother-in-law who lives in California, who he is stockpiled on alcohol. He doesn't use it, but he bought hundreds of dollars of alcohol. But he doesn't have hundreds of dollars of food storage. And I'm like, what are you thinking?
Well, if you're going to make a tincture, right, and you need some vodka for that. Personally, I do have some set aside for that particular use of making some kind of medicinal purposes, right? But
his is bought specifically for barter.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So he can get what?
Mm-hmm.
Food. Food's going to be on, buddy.
Then just buy the food instead, right?
Yeah.
Exactly my point. But I'm sure there's always exceptions. But another thing that I've done is I like to take notes, right? I like to write. I do my writing on a laptop, but I take notes on paper. And so I've stockpiled pens and pencils and writing paper, and notepads and notebooks. And that's a lot of that's for, sitting around time when there's downtime or not at night when I have, thoughts I want to write down. And I don't want to necessarily fire up the laptop and turn the inverter on, right, and drain the batteries. And I can write by a candle, right, or by a headlamp. And I think would take off a lot of stress of people being able to doodle and draw or do something with writing utensils. So I've got a good supply of that as well, because that's important to me.
So I put that in my home library category. Like, we've got books, how-to books, educational books, loads of paper, loads of pens and pencils, crayons, because crayons have multi-uses, right? But yeah, because as I think about that, like back in the olden days, you'd have to go up to the teacher and ask for paper, right? You couldn't just go to the store and buy it. Teacher'd have to have it shipped in, and they'd be the purveyor of all paper. Like, you'd have to get permission to get paper, and you'd have a limit. And it's like, how are you going to learn? How are you going to teach what you know to your kids? Are we going to sit outside only during the summer and learn when you're supposed to be doing gardening and taking care of things, like drawing in the dirt? No, right? We had a chalkboard. We got rid of that, but we've got dry erase and dry erase markers, but nothing beats good old fashioned paper and a pen and pencil, right? Lots of pencils. It's
and pads of paper.
Good to have. And what?
Journaling is really good, especially for mental health. When crap hits the fan, we're going to have things like that to pass our time, because we're mental. I think one of the least prepared for things is the loneliness and the mental toughness that's going to be required, because we're going to go from absolute comfort. In most cases, we're going to go from absolute comfort, ease of acquiring things to, oh no, what can we do? And so one of the other things too that I think would be good to stockpile is like board games or card decks or different games at this that you can play with your family to kind of pass the time, because you're not going to have TV, you're not going to have movies necessarily, you're not going to have all those things. So having games, board games, card games, and stuff that you can do to keep yourself busy, like journaling, is, I think, one of the great things that I love about the past generations is reading the journals of these men that accomplish great things. And to be able to sit and journal is something I think I need to do better at it for sure. And so I think that would be a great thing to have as a stockpile: several journals, games, other things that can help you pass the time, so that you're not going crazy, stir crazy when you have nothing else to do that you're traditionally used to doing.
Especially when we're in front of screens all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's where your books come in handy, right? You're going to spend more time reading than writing, right? Because running out of paper is going to be a bad thing, but like you're gonna spend a lot of time reading. Olden days, like what the biggest thing was is in the 1800s, like everybody had a family Bible. They'd sit around the dinner table. Like there was no TV, there was no rate. Like reading the scriptures, reading a good book was how they were entertained. Right. Once the radio came along, then there were other options. And so like you're going to want to think back the same way. Okay, what can we rely on and prep for that?
Yeah.
One of the things go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I've got a few other things just to get through before we're done here. If it's a good time.
I was just gonna say one of the things that we missed is extra socks and underwear.
It's on my list. Yep, that was one of them.
Let's talk about it, because that
socks. Yeah, absolutely. Socks, super important.
Yeah, good.
My feet too, like wool socks, thin socks, thick socks, crew socks, like different sizes of socks. That's you need them for different things and different layers too. Especially if you're going hiking, you need different layers, and those all different can help.
And with kids, like I've got sock sizes stockpiled for the next 5 to 6 sizes of socks that they're going to need, right? Because who knows how long it'll be before you can get socks again.
Yeah, especially kids growing into clothes. Yeah.
Well, that brings up another good point, Scott. Like, why not? I mean, you can't stockpile for the rest of their life, but you could stockpile for the next year or two, and and get a couple sizes. Like, let's say your kid's a size 5 right now, go get us a couple 6s and 7 pants and shirts and stuff, and make sure you got a couple. You got some. As they grow over the next year or two, until you can find a way to make their clothes, or get that going, like sewing and cloth. And that's another thing to store: sewing and cloth, like bolts of cloth and textiles that you can then sew into clothing and create clothing and patterns, short patterns for pants and shorts and shirts. And I'd put all that stuff together in my stockpile too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like Tony says here, way to repair clothes. I've got a sewing machine and thread and some fabric. Definitely could do better that way. Absolutely.
Buttons, lots of buttons.
Yeah. I mean, like grandpa passed down all the bolts and screws and nuts, and grandma passed down all the buttons, right?
That's cool.
So, pretty good supply of buttons myself. But a few other things on my list.
Yeah.
We talk about shelter and safety a lot. For me, a key part of that is light sources, having a light. It's also, comfortable as well to be able to see, to be able to read, to be able to write in the dark. And so having rechargeable batteries, lithium batteries, as well as multiple light sources. I am a bit of a flashlight freak. I love Phoenix flashlights, and so I'm a bit of a collector that way. But only things, ones that are going to be useful to me. So I like lots of different light sources for myself and to share. Additionally, I also have on my list, I've got, water filters, water purification, all kinds of things you can use to purify water. Like I say, extra filters, but also chlorine dioxide. You can use chlorine as well, and of course, boiling helps as well. All the different methods have a bunch of different types and various different methods to purify water and to store water. Extremely important. That should be really high on the list, right up there next to food, is have a way to get more water, because water is very heavy. You can get a bunch of 5-gallon buckets at 8.3 pounds per gallon. 10 gallons.
80, 90 pounds easy.
It's a lot of weight.
Yeah, if you have two of those on that shoulder yoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so obviously really important. I can keep going down the list.
No,
here.
along those lines, I think
Yeah.
Field Tech brings up a good case. Get candles.
Yeah.
Stockpile candles, really good.
You
Yeah,
get
provide
tons of candles for super, super cheap.
provide some
Also,
heat as
learning
well as,
learning how to make candle wax. I mean, it's not hard.
it makes it easier to light a fire with a candle as well. You light that candle, and then you can more easily light fire.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to do a feather board or using up your newspaper you've stored up. Okay, yeah, candles are fantastic. Another thing on my list, of course, ammo. Right, I think we touched on that briefly.
On my list too.
Having a good store ammo for all your firearms. We could talk about quantities. How much is enough? Depends on what your plans on or where you live, right?
Yeah, I don't know that there's an actual number you can really give it enough. That's on my list of continual addition too, right?
Yeah.
And every time I go to the range, I'm like, I'm using some.
I know it's a little painful, but
Like,
I think
these were so cheap when I bought them. Now they're $1 each, right? Yeah.
I was just going to say along those same lines is that ammo is of course expendable and it's gone once it's gone, unless you have a way to create or restock it, reload it. But also, like, that's one of the reasons why I bought a bow and a crossbow, is because you can go get those arrows and hopefully they're not broken or damaged. And in more cases than not, you can actually go collect them and reuse them.
Mhm.
And so there's other personal protection items that you can reuse. You want to have another. You have a bat, but make sure you have a ball, a glove. Kind of go along with it, so you're not just out there pounding people in the face with a bat. But you want to have. I actually have a desire to get a sword. I maybe it was because of the gal on the black lady on Walking Dead and her katana. That was like super awesome. Simone, what was her name? Anyways,
I never watched it.
yeah, I've actually got one. I'm ahead.
Yeah, so it'd be fun to have a sword because those are reusable. I mean, you
Yeah.
gotta, you gotta sharpen it, but other than that, it's reusable. So anything that can be used to protect you, and then have a stockpile like pepper sprays and other things like that. Just have a stockpile of that, anything for personal protection.
What's funny is that you started talking about swords, and you're like, I was watching. I'm like, Highlander, and you said,
Oh yeah,
Walking Dead. I was like, what?
no, Highlanders. That sword is awesome on Highlander.
I always thought like, oh, when I grow up, I'll get a sword and I'll carry a sword. Like that's what you do in Highlander.
There can only
Like-
be one.
I have more of a short sword. It can be used more purposes than just defensive, right? It's more of a survival tool.
So I just have my long kukri, and
this is
enjoy
about
that.
twice the size of a kukri.
Yeah.
What I have, but yeah, like Joseph says, blowgun. Absolutely, yep.
Those
I'm
are
stocked
awesome
up with
to have.
blowguns and darts. Absolutely,
Slingshots are
and then
great, too.
sling,
Wrist
the kind of
rockets.
sling
Old sling, yeah.
or slingshot as well. Those types of things. You can always find rocks on the ground, right? You can always make that work, right? That's something you can get good at, and
you can hunt
find
squirrels with
anywhere.
those things too.
Well, you can take down a giant if you know how to throw a sling.
That's
Like,
true.
think about David.
Or carry
There's
a
a guy
Glock.
on YouTube that is fantastic. He's just old school sling, and he'll punch dents into steel.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just like, what? And it's just whoosh, gone. And so nice. It's so cool. I need to get that skill up, because we think of it like, because the cartoons and everything else, like you're like, and then you let go, and it's not that, it's fling, and you're using your
like
whole
throwing a rock.
body, one movement, and you're launched. It's wow.
Yeah.
But, also along the same lines, hunting tools, right?
Mhm.
Rifles and ammunition, right? I am not much of a hunter myself, but it's on my list. And I know when it comes down to it, I could easily take down a deer, but do I know how to dress it? That's my weakness there. And I'm sure Field Tech could instruct me on that as well. So
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to schedule an outing, head up into the mountains with Field Tech one of these days. Well, that'd be fun.
Hopefully
Oh,
we
my
come
goodness.
back.
What's that?
Hopefully we
we-
come back.
I've got kids. I have to come back.
Right.
Dude, I've got one on the way. Like, baby supplies. If you're planning on having more kids, have some good quality fabric diapers, stockpile,
True. Yeah.
like high quality acrylic or glass bottles, like those things. Oh my gosh, you got to have them if you want to have kids post apocalypse. We got to repopulate the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Either that, or you're going to go out and get a sheep, and you're going to process the sheep, pull the bladder out, like you're going to clean that sucker or the stomach, and you're going to turn it into a big old bottle. Like you're going to have to find something to work. So be prepared for anything.
That's crazy. What else you got, Shane?
That's all I got.
Scott, you got anything else?
I got one left.
Go.
The H2Go water purification system.
Nice.
Okay.
I love it because it creates its own chlorine solution. You
Mhm.
can use that to process water. We've used it a number of times. We keep it in the car for travel. Like I've got 2 now. But I love having that. And if you guys go to, I think it's h2gopurifier.com. Let me pull it up.
There's a
It's on
link
our
on our page. I'll post it here.
PrepperTalkRadio.com has it. You can click the link from there. But it's so phenomenal. Like I love it. I've used it. I've done videos on it on YouTube. It's such a great little tool. But dude, if you're not going to store and stockpile, rock bleach, I can't even think of the word now. But like this is a fantastic alternative.
Chlorine tablets, bromine,
Chlorine tablet. Thank you. I'm like my brain just shut off.
Sodium calcium
Hyperchlorite.
I forget as well. Calcium hypochlorite. Yep, that's it.
There you go. Calcium hypochlorite.
You did it.
Oh, it's on my list right here. Just look at my paper.
So the only other thing I was going to say is that that we haven't talked about yet is communications and ways to communicate with others. Ham radios, NOAA radios, AM/FM radios. You don't have to have a ton of them, but I would have 2 because if one breaks, you got another one. You got a backup, and so anything to communicate, like figure out how to use your smoke signals, the old Indian smoke signals, and maybe have a couple mirrors that are signaling mirrors that you can use. Just have some things that you can use to communicate. And that's those are some other fun. That's the last thing that I have. So any final thoughts before we close it out, guys?
Shane's got a really good signal mirror.
Well, I just picked up a little Baofeng UV5R Mini.
Oh,
so I'm learning how to use this thing. Yeah, very cool. But I think as the last comment here, it's as Field Tack says, you can nurse a baby goat directly from a goat's teat. A baby directly from a goat's teat.
It's the best milk to have on hand.
But you got to have some goats, right? And you got to have some goats who are lactating, right? So be prepared. Go get some goats
and try to figure out how to lactate them
and milk your goats, so they're always prepared for your next child or your neighbor's child.
I don't know if you guys were counting, but I don't think that was 17. I think that was more than 17.
Yeah,
I think 53.
53. We just picked out a number and we're going to go with 53. It was 53. And so hopefully you got some good things that you can stockpile over the next little while here that are not food related. If there's anything that you think of that we may have missed, make sure that you hit us up in our Facebook group, Emergency Prep and Self-Reliance, and say, hey, here's another thing that you can store long-term for preps that's not food related, that's a good idea for us to do that. As we close up the shop, let's make sure to go to preppertalkradio.com I think it's resources across the top, and then you can see all the different things that we have there. You'll see our that water purifier. You'll see our Good Life links. You'll see all of our links to our Survival Frog links. We're actually going to be opening up pretty soon a payment processing referral affiliate link. We're going to have for you soon. That's Second Amendment positive, and so we're trying to grow and make it right. So if you have any ideas for future shows, topics, and whatnot, shoot us up, hit us up at preppertalkradio at gmail.com. That's our email. And then go to our Facebook group and throw in there any ideas that you want to hear us talk about on the show. We'd love to have any ideas. We'd love to talk about what you want to hear about. We have we've done pretty well just coming up with stuff, but we also, every once in a while, it's fun to hear what you guys want to hear and see. And so we can add that into our rotation. But you've been listening to Prepper Talk Radio, ready for the ready-minded, the podcast for the prepared, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks for being ready-minded with us. Take care.
See you next week.
Good night.